You ever notice how quiet it gets when you're the one in need? When you have nothing to offer, no favors left to give, no power in your hands? That's when you see them for who they really are. The ones who called you brother, friend, family. The ones who swore they'd always be there. The ones who smiled in your face and whispered in the dark. But the moment you're down, struggling, gasping for air, suddenly they don't see you. Your voice? Just background noise. Your pain? Just another inconvenience. Respect? Oh, they'll give it to you, but only when they need something. That's the game, isn't it? A game where you're only valuable as long as you're useful. A game where your worth is measured by what you can provide, not by who you are. Think back. How many times have you been the one who picked up the phone when they called? How many times have you been the one who showed up when they needed help? And tell me, how many of those same people disappeared when it was your turn to need them? That's the thing about people. They love the idea of loyalty, but they never practice it. They preach about respect, but only when it benefits them. And you've been too blind, too forgiving, too useful. That's the real problem, isn't it? You thought respect was earned. You thought if you worked hard enough, helped enough, stayed true enough, people would see your worth. But respect in this world? It's a currency, and you don't get paid unless someone needs you. Look around. See the way they treat the powerless, the broken, the ones who have nothing left to give. They don't get respect. They get ignored, mocked, abandoned. But the powerful, the ones they need? Oh, they bow to them. They smile. They obey. Not because they love them, not because they admire them, but because they fear what happens if they don't. And that's the lesson, isn't it? You don't get respect by being kind. You don't get respect by being available. You get respect when they fear losing you. So stop. Stop running to them. Stop giving. Stop proving yourself to people who will never truly see you. Let them feel your absence. Let them drown in their own silence, because only then will they realize what you were worth. And by then, it'll be too late. You see, people don't remember the times you saved them. They don't remember the nights you stayed up, listening to their problems. They don't remember the times you sacrificed your own peace just to make sure they were okay. No, what they remember is what they can get from you. That's all you are to them, a convenience, a tool, a stepping stone. And the moment you stop being useful, the moment you say no, that's when you see their true face. They start acting like you were never there for them, like you never gave a damn, like you're selfish for finally choosing yourself. Isn't it funny? The same people who expected you to carry them are the first to disappear when your own legs start shaking. But that's the world. That's how people are. It's not about love. It's not about loyalty. It's about leverage. The ones who bow today, they'll spit on you tomorrow if they think you have nothing left to offer. And the ones who ignore you now, oh, they'll come running back when they need something. That's the game. It's always been the game. And the only way to win is to stop playing by their rules. They told you to be a good person, to help others, to be there for people no matter what. They made you believe that if you gave enough, if you loved enough, if you sacrificed enough, you'd be respected. But what they didn't tell you was that the world doesn't respect kindness. It exploits it. You were raised to be the one who bends, who compromises, who carries the weight. And at first it feels good, doesn't it? Being the one they call, the one they rely on. But let me ask you something. Who do you call? Who shows up for you? Look at your life. Look at the people around you. You've spent so much time being needed that you never realized. You're completely alone. That's what happens to people like us. The givers, the fixers, the ones who carry the burden. And when we break, no one's there to pick up the pieces. They just move on to the next person they can use. You want respect? Then stop asking for it. Stop expecting it to come from kindness. Stop believing it's something you earn by giving. Respect doesn't come from what you do for people. It comes from what they fear losing. So let them feel your absence. Let them see what happens when you stop showing up. Because that's the only way they'll ever understand your worth. When you were there, they took you for granted. When you were giving, they felt entitled. But when you leave, when you walk away and never look back, that's when they finally realize. But by then, it's too late. Because you're never coming back. Watch what happens when you stop responding to every call. Watch what happens when you stop fixing their mess. Watch how quickly the ones who loved you start whispering behind your back, because that's the truth they don't want you to know. People don't love you. They love what you do for them. And when you stop, they get angry. Why? Because you stopped feeding their ego. You stopped playing the role they expected you to play. You stopped letting them use you. And that's when you learn something powerful. They never respected you in the first place. They just needed you. So what now? What do you do when you realize the world isn't what you thought it was? You change. You stop begging for respect and start demanding it. You stop being available to everyone and start choosing yourself. And most of all, you stop caring about people who only remember you when they need something. Because when you do that, when you stop chasing, stop proving, stop bending over backward, that's when they respect you. Not because they suddenly care, not because they finally see your worth, but because they fear what happens without you. And that's real power. That's when you stop being an option and start becoming a necessity. But here's the thing. By the time they realize it, you won't need them anymore. And that's the revenge they never saw coming. You see, the world doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on power. And power isn't about how strong you are. It isn't about how kind you are. It isn't even about how much you do for people. It's about how much they fear losing you. But you've spent your whole life playing by the wrong rules. You thought respect was about loyalty. You thought love was about sacrifice. You thought people would value you because of what you gave. But here's what you didn't realize. The more you give, the less they respect you. The more available you are, the more they take you for granted. The moment you become someone they can depend on, they stop seeing you as someone they should cherish. You became the person who always said yes, the person who always showed up, the person who always fixed things, even when no one fixed you. And that was your mistake, because in this world, they only respect you when they need you. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who always helped others. When his friends were broke, he gave them money. When they needed advice, he stayed up all night talking them through it. When they were lost, he showed them the way. And for a while, it felt good. It felt like respect. Until one day, he needed help. His business was failing. His hands were shaking. His world was falling apart. So he reached out. He called every single person he had helped. And you know what happened? Silence. One by one, they disappeared. The same people who once said, "I owe you my life," suddenly had no time, no money, no help to give. And at that moment, he understood. They never loved him. They never respected him. They only needed him. And the second he had nothing left to give, he became invisible. They told you to be selfless, to be giving, to put others before yourself. They made you believe that if you did enough, if you sacrificed enough, people would see your worth. But they lied. Because respect in this world, it doesn't come from being selfless. It comes from being scarce. It comes from knowing your value and refusing to give it away for free. Think about it. The people they admire the most, the ones they fear, the ones they chase, they're not the ones who are always available. They're not the ones who always say yes. They're the ones who walk away without looking back. That's the truth no one told you. People don't value what's easy to get. They value what's rare. So if you want respect, stop being so available. Stop giving yourself away to people who don't deserve you. Stop being the one who always bends. Because the second you start choosing yourself, that's the second they start realizing your worth. Here's what happens when you stop playing their game. At first, they'll call you selfish. They'll say you changed. They'll say you've become cold, distant, heartless. But deep down, they're panicking because they can feel it. They can feel the power shifting. They can feel the control slipping from their hands. They can feel what it's like to need you and not be able to reach you. And That terrifies them. Because for the first time, they're the ones feeling small. They're the ones feeling replaceable. And that's when the respect begins. Not because they suddenly care, not because they suddenly see you, but because they finally understand. You are not someone to be used. You are not someone to be taken for granted. You are not someone who waits around to be needed. You are a force. You are a storm. You are the one they should have never underestimated. And now they will regret it. So what do you do now? Now that you see the truth? You change. You stop explaining yourself. You stop proving yourself. You stop being the option and start being the priority. Because let me tell you something. The people who truly respect you, they won't respect you because you help them. They will respect you because they know. Without you, they are nothing. That's the moment you win. When you stop chasing them and they start chasing you. When they finally understand, they should have never taken you for granted. But by then, it's too late. Because you've moved on. And they will never find another you. So listen carefully. You were never weak. You were never worthless. You were never a nobody. You were just too good for people who didn't deserve you. And now, you take back your power. Now you stop giving away your respect for free. Now, you walk away from anyone who only remembers you when they need something, because they don't deserve you. And when they finally realize that, it will be their greatest regret. But for you, it will be your greatest victory. Let them feel your absence. Let them regret your silence. Let them watch as you rise without them. Because in the end, you never needed them. They needed you. And now they'll have to live with that mistake forever.